make sure that my audience stay on top of what they're doing to us. It's a long path from 1963 to 2015. We're talking 60 years, a little bit more, 63 years. 40 is 3 and another 10, 50, 53 years, somewhere along in there. They have sealed the notion that Afro-Americans exist in the United States. They have completely sealed that on the historical front. While we were boogalooing, bowling, talking out of the side of our necks, marching, singing, "We shall overcome," tearing the door down on churches every Sunday, they were burning the midnight oil, trying to figure out how they can make us disappear. You got to understand that we are on our own land. America belongs to the Moors. Call yourself what you want. If you are of color, you are a Moor. Or if you don't like it, let me say it another way. If you are of color with melanin in your skin, the land belongs to you. North America, South America, Central America, Canada, Alaska, all of this land belongs to us. They know it. They set up this public schools. Horace Greeley and Abraham Lincoln. We're talking about 1860, early 61, 62, prior to the Civil War. Set up the process of making all the slaves, quote unquote, go to school. We need to differentiate between the word slave and Moors. There is a huge difference. Moors have never been enslaved, not American Moors. We've been kidnapped, we've been imprisoned into their system. But as far as the education system teaches you, we have never been enslaved. We've been taught nothing but BS ever since we were born. Nothing but bullshit ever since we were born. And it's been told to us so much. And they told us not to question the teachers. All of y'all remember that. Do not question the teacher. You'll get a bad grade. Your mama will give you a whooping. I have to admit, I whoop my children, make them understand. You got to get through the system. You don't want to be a dropout. You don't want to be set back. So go along to get along. That was a total mistake on my part. But if I had more guidance from my seniors, I would have become more radical, revolutionary, and more freedom-minded when I was much younger. I started at 17. And my journey from 17 to 74 has been a wonderful, wonderful encouragement of understanding, wisdom, and knowledge. But it's not enough. 25 years ago, I realized that if I can't teach and raise the consciousness of my people, I will be in bondage, they will be in bondage, and the European will sit back and smile and say, "Job well done." We need to understand. I'm so tired of watching and looking and feeling and understanding that we have so many turncoats in our communities, and we're afraid to point them out. We're afraid to point them out. My nephew called me when we were in, well, better yet, when they were in Ferguson. Told me that news commentator from MSNBC, Joe Sample, was a sissy, a fag, sugar in his pocket. I said, I'll forget it. He was doing a job, letting all the news out, everything. Soon as they passed a law, or Supreme Court ruling, they didn't pass a law. The Supreme Court ruling that same-sex marriage was legal. He was one of the first. I wouldn't say the first because I don't know nothing about them folks. But the headlines in the social media was he said it, was looking for a husband. We got a major problem. When they set up this 14th Amendment, I keep telling you, you got to study, understand who you are. They are making us. You're either going to die in United States or you're going to be free in America. It's your choice. Ever since that civil rights Martin Luther King package came out, I said, there's something wrong with this. How can one man, one blackie, one jackleg ass preacher go to the United States White House, sign a document that set up what we know today as the Civil Rights Act or the Voting Rights Act? Call it what you want. I don't give a damn. I am completely destroyed. Not because I don't understand. I'm destroyed because you don't understand. Martin Luther King signed that paperwork. The news media made us believe integration was the best way to go. Now, I'll ask you, in hindsight, how is that possible? How can that man speak for me? I have never met Martin Luther King, never cared about meeting Martin Luther King, don't give a damn about Martin Luther King. What he does and what he do and what people love him for, that's their business, not mine. Never was. I was a Malcolm X man all the time, all the way, until I discovered the Honorable Noble Drew Ali. My life has never been the same since. But we got these niggas, and let me call it like it is, that are still preaching. They're going to set up another march on Washington. They're going to walk from Selma, Alabama to 886 miles, singing "We Shall Overcome." Martin Luther King. They gave us Martin Luther King. They should have given us some Martin Luther King. They should give us 10 weeks of Martin Luther King days. He bamboozled the entire black race. With a stroke of the pen, they ended segregation and entered into integration. Not because they loved the black man, because they only let him in, not as a natural person, as a fictitious person known as 14th Amendment. Under the original Constitution, we had our inalienable rights from our Creator. Damn all the bullshit. But no, we gonna sing "We Shall Overcome" because they now in 63 said we gonna let you in. But we gotta let you in under restrictions. Why would I want to give up my Creator to get into their bullshit? Why would I do that? Y'all need to wake up, understand what they're doing to you. You gotta turn away from these educated niggas, these bougies, these AKAs, these boulets. You gotta get away from them. All of them. And I've said it once and I'll say it again. Any black man without a mustache, he is under suspicion with me. Don't come around me if I ain't gonna check your ass. Look at all of them that all of a sudden popped up on television here in the last week, last 10, 14 days. Where they come from? I went to dinner the first Saturday after the Supreme Court ruling. Now, I know what a fag is. I know what a sissy is. I don't have a problem with them. Do what you do, but stay away. Why do you have to flaunt yourself as if you can't touch me now? This waiter, I don't know if you want to call him a waiter or waitress or whatever. He came to the table. I'm telling you, I'm talking with my wife. This little silly ass nigga is spinning around, throwing his hands in there. Ooh, can I? Oh, honey, can I help? All that old crazy shit. Why do I have to put up with that? Now, if I get up and cold cock that sissy, I'm going to jail. They passed the rule, and I'm going to tell you something else. 80% of every black sissy you see is a wannabe. He saw the freedom in being gay a long time ago. The door has been open to gays ever since Martin Luther King set that crap up. Gays, think about it, civil rights. He's marching for black people. We think our rights are in the civil rights movement. Our rights. But they're restricted rights. They're not rights. They're privileges. So what does the system do? The system gives privileges and benefits to white women, white males, black women, and fag wannabes. They saw it. The Jews who set up NAACP, the Jews, they were treated worse than black people because the European has always been afraid of a Jew. They supported civil rights movement, or so-called NAACP. Half the niggas didn't even know what they was joining. And as late as this year, this month, everybody's upset because that white female out in Spokane, Washington, was president of the NAACP, and they had nerve to have an attitude. Al Sharpton and that bunch of punks. Why would you be upset when the founding fathers of the NAACP was Jews? What the hell is wrong with us? And then I tried and explain it. I'm talking to a bunch of deadheads. Either they don't want to hear about it, or it's too complicated for them to understand because they've been treated and teach to be an ignoramus. They are literally comatose dead. You can't communicate with these black people. This is some deep stuff, y'all. The European and the Jews set it up. And I'm throwing the Jew in because he's the one that set up the New Deal. I bet you don't even know what the New Deal is. You won't read. When you listen to a program, you take it as entertainment. Once it's over, you go back to your same old bullshit. I text out about 300 people today. Someone asked me, why you text them? They know you're on there. No, they don't. When I asked, I missed it. I forgot. Ron, I wanted to hear it. I don't want them to have that excuse when I'm on there. I want them to listen. And don't give me no flam that, Ron, I was on the wrong station. I was on this. Hey, listen to me. They have us over the barrel. They're getting ready to close the top. Same-sex marriage, is one of the it's the coup d'état of black nationalism. Why, Ron? Well, let's look at it. Let's look at it. Let's go back. Let's go back to 1850. Now, listen carefully. From 1500 forward into 1776, into 1812, 1823, just giving you some profound dates. Moors were in charge of everything. Our industry was hemp. Our industry was hemp. You can get over 100 products from hemp, in addition to smoking hemp. The European, strategically, knowing he was going to destroy us, he did two major factors. Number one, destroy their economics. Destroy their economics. Look around today. Don't look at me like I'm an idiot. Look around your damn self. You don't own a damn thing. And any one of you in business, you're struggling because they control your income. But black market is the best lucrative market in the United States. In all categories, especially liquor. Any of the major industries, we can run them. We can be CEO. Look at Sony. Look at all the rap bullshit. Well, they my people. The rappers, let's put it that way. Look at the labels. They're owned by huge corporations. They put black people in charge. They're the only ones that can run it for them. Because if they try to run it for themselves, they'll treat them like they treated Barry Gordy. Ran him out of Detroit. Ran Barry Gordy's black ass out of Detroit. And he started with $1,200 from his daddy and his family and flipped it into a millionaire. Another one, just off the top of my head, another one. Too legit to quit. Can't think of his name. He started with a loan from the Angels baseball team. He was a bat boy. He was singing and dancing in the locker rooms. They all loved him. They talked him into going into business and setting up his own product in his own job. He did it. Turned into an instant millionaire. The industry said, no, we cannot let them create their own economics. They destroyed him. Cool in the Gang, not Cool in the Gang, Sly Stone, Sly and the Family Stone, ruined them. No economics for black people. Come on, y'all. Damn it, look around at you. Look around and look and see what's going on. Every riot, every unrest in the United States was created by the corporations. Every war. You can call it a big war like Vietnam or a little war like the rebellion in Detroit, San Francisco in 1965, 66, 67. Europeans started it. Why? To destroy the economics. Every riot in the United States only burned out the black community. We are hugging and kissing, marrying them on the straight side, and then now we going after them on the sister side. What the hell is going on? Sodom and Gomorrah. (1850s). Let's get back. On this day, March 6, 1857, United States Supreme Court issued a decision in the Dred Scott case, affirming the right of slave owners to take their slaves into Western territories. Notice they didn't call them states. Y'all so dumb you didn't even know that. It was only 13 colonies. United States was 13 colonies. That's it. They were never given permission to do anything else. But then, if you read the Constitution, and I can give it to you, Article 1, Section 8, Paragraph 17. Go look it up. It will tell you that the Moors gave them 10 square miles and said if you need more, you have to legislate it from the neighboring states, neighboring territories. And before I go any further, I want to say this. When a brother ran this on me, it really shocked me. We have never seen the original organic Constitution. Nobody out there, none of y'all, never seen it. Those that have been fortunate enough to read it, it was in Arabic because you can't read Arabic. They translated it to see fit for you to understand it. There's no rules and regulations on translation. Documents that they swear they're going to uphold. I uphold the Constitution. We need to go back to our original language, which was Arabic, and read it and understand it so we can tell them you're full of crap. You're not following the Constitution. And even when they begin to doctor it for their advantage, they still don't follow it. They have never followed it. They've been crooks, renegades, invaders, rapists. Donald Trump calling Mexicans rapists. What the hell is he? A murderer, a rapist. He's a corporation head. Supported every war that went on because he makes money with a war. Kill everybody that you bomb. It don't matter as long as I can make a nickel. So, in the Constitution, Article 1, Section 8, Paragraph 17, it states in part, we will give you 10 square miles as a district, your seat of government. Your seat, Peckerwoods, will be a seat of government, and you will call it a district. Everything else was made up. So, let's get back. 1857. United States Supreme Court issued a decision in the Dred Scott case affirming the right of slave owners to take their slaves into the Western Territory, thereby negating the doctrine of popular sovereignty and severely undermining the platform of the newly created Republican Party. Let's stop. You love Lincoln because he freed you, and he was a Republican. During the Dred Scott case, the Republicans were not in power, never was in power. There was no Republican Party. It was the Whig Party that between Lincoln and Horace Greeley, look it up. Don't look at me like I'm stupid. You look it up. Lincoln and Horace Greeley manipulated. Horace Greeley was a two-for-nickel millionaire. He had a magazine, a newspaper, and he had, I think they said he had 139 subscribers. That's just about all the ones that could read in the United States, 13 colonies. So he could create anything he wanted to create because everybody couldn't read the crap. Black Moors didn't give a damn because it wasn't none of their business. And half of the people that came in with this so-called influx of Europeans, crooks, rapists, all the bump, they came from everywhere. Spoke all kinds of different languages. Slavic, all up in that Germans and all of that crap. If you think I'm lying, go look up I did a show on this. I can back it up. Look up the immigration laws of 1795, 17. Just start looking up the immigration laws. If I think about it during break, I may pull it up, but it ain't no big deal. Immigration laws. They said that they were so ruly and so disruptive that they did not want them to come in here. The Europeans that were here, the mulattoes that was running 13 colonies, did not want them European cutthroats to come in here. They had to fight among themselves before the brothers started kicking their ass and get the hell out of here because you don't belong here. Go back where you come from. Y'all need to get into this. I'm hooked. I am hooked. Okay. So, they were creating the Republican Party. Let's get that going right now. At the heart of the case was the most important question of the 1850s. Should slavery be allowed in the West? Now, what was the West? Remember I told you about the proclamation line. King George III told them Europeans, those colonists, those settlers, those frontiersmen, they try to name them everything but what they were. Peckerwoods. Told them Peckerwoods, keep your white ass on the east side of the Alleghenies. Do not cross the Allegheny Mountains. You look it up. Don't look at me like I'm making up this shit. And yes, I'm upset. I always have been when I talk like this. Because y'all don't seem to get it. The king told them, do not cross the Allegheny. So what did they do? They're going to turn around and say they're going to move west. Go. Horace Greeley started that Go West, young man, go west. He also started There's Gold in Them Dar Hills, that type of shit. In other words, they bought all the guns they could buy and said, we going out there to get rich. Any red man, any black man, any yellow man we see, shoot him, kill him. That's where your cowboy movies come in. That's where the so-called massacre, they call when the indigenous people of this land tried to protect their land, Europeans in history call it a massacre. Every time they kill a pack, it was a massacre. If it was 2 Indians killed 10 packs, they call it a massacre. Indians sneaked up on them with their dumb ass. This is propaganda, y'all. This is historical revisionism. And then they put it in the books. They get cleared. Let me stop right now and tell you. All the books, all school books come from one state. I wonder if anybody knows what state that is. All school books come from one state. All the history is written, all the knowledge and whatever is in the books is written from one state. And it's in such a rural area that they've been trying to defeat the elected officials, and they can't do it because they're out there with them damn hillbillies, and they don't know what's going on. They don't even vote. Woo! Help me, somebody. All right, let's keep going, because I am upset over this mess. In the heart of the case is what I'm talking about. Should slavery be allowed in the West as part of the compromise of 1850? Residents of newly created territories, listen to that, newly created territories. How they create territories? And they from somewhere else. Could decide the issue of slavery by vote, a process known as popular sovereignty. Now, they're picking areas. They did this picking areas with people like Lewis and Clark, Daniel Boone, Jeb McCain, just to name one, Buffalo Bill, Wild Bill Elliott, Wild Bill Cody. All of them so-called heroes were a bunch of assholes. That's what they was. And they were sent out, commissioned by corporations to go out and find lands and territory. And you can imagine what they did. Rivers, ponds, waters, hunting, fishing. Went in there and made friends with the Moors. You know how friendly we are. Then we want to marry them, have sex with them, that type of thing. All of that. All of that. They used every angle of treachery they could use to get a toehold. And then once they got the toehold, they began to murder and loot and kill. Okay. When popular sovereignty was applied in Kansas in 1854, however, violence erupted. Americans hoped that the Supreme Court could rule or could settle the issue that had eluded a congressional solution, which was the so-called Kansas Compromise. Dred Scott was a slave whose owner, an American doctor, had spent time in Illinois, a free state, and Wisconsin, a free territory. Now notice, they're calling Wisconsin a free territory. They call Illinois a free state. All of that's bullshit. It was known as the territory. I'm looking at it. Detroit was in that. It was 5. They made it into 5 states. Wisconsin turned out to be one of the states, but not Illinois. It was the Northwest Ordinance, or the Northwest Territory, what it was called. So huge, they started to do 15 states, and they decided to do 5. You had Michigan, Ohio, Indiana, Wisconsin. Looking at it. Part of Minnesota, I know that. That 5th state may have been Illinois. Looking at it, Ohio, Indiana, Michigan, all of that's there. Wisconsin, Illinois, and part of, look it up, part of Minnesota. The Supreme Court was stacked in favor of the slave states. 5 of the 9 justices were from the South, while another, Robert Greer of Pennsylvania, was staunchly pro-slavery. Chief Justice Roger B. Taney wrote the majority decision, which was issued on March 6, 1857. The court held that Scott was not free based on his residence in either Illinois or Wisconsin, neither one, because he was not considered a person under the United States Constitution, in the opinion of the justices. Now let me read that again. They took the slave. Think about this same-sex marriage. They took the slave issue to the Supreme Court, identical. Supreme Court ruled that Dred Scott could not be free. They don't give a damn where he lived. Why? Because he was not considered a person. Notice that word, person. Under the United States Constitution, in the opinion of the justices, black people were not considered citizens when the Constitution was drafted in 1787. What the hell is wrong with y'all? The Dred Scott case, everybody looking at me today know a little bit. That's what you're going to tell me. Yeah, I remember that a little bit of Dred Scott. Oh yeah, oh yeah, a little bit. You need to go back and get a little bit more and take somebody with you. I'm gonna read this part again. I'm gonna highlight it so I don't forget it myself. The court held that Dred Scott was not free based on his residence in either Illinois or Wisconsin because he was not considered a person, not even human, in a person under the United States Constitution in the opinion of the justice. Black people, us, were not considered citizens when the Constitution was drafted in 1887. Now, I ain't making this up. This was back in 1850. When we go to the Supreme Court, they said no. They never went back. Never. The ruling stands today. So these sisters, if you want, whatever you want to call them, they can get to be citizens by marrying one of them in this same-sex malarkey. So now you got them all running around with their hands up. Come on. I'm arguing from a political perspective. I don't give a damn about them. But I don't have to sit up and have them flaunt their shit in front of me. They want to sit up. You see them hugging and kissing on TV. You don't see natural unions, as they call them. They don't start doing all that crap on TV. Somebody told me one of them, I don't even want to go there. According to Taney, this was a Supreme Court justice, just like a couple of them punks we got up there now. That's Haley. According to Taney, Dred Scott was the property of his owner. The property could not be taken from a person without due process of law. In fact, there were free citizens of the United States in 1787, but Taney and the other justices were attempting to halt further debate on the issue of slavery in the territory. Now, that sentence to me had to be historical revisionism. Why? Because all blacks, not all, the majority of blacks, we lived here. Millions of us lived here. We were all free. But he's talking about, which they don't want to get into, the 13 colonies. There was no free blacks in the 13 colonies. Because the 13 colonies was given to the Europeans by these turncoat Moors, if you will, under the assumption that they was going to act right. And don't forget, one of my guests that was totally aware of this issue, Sister Turner, Sister Stephanie, was telling us, along with Tarvis L., that the Days, which was a section or a group of Moors, told the other Moors, we got 5 nations, don't play around with these things called Europeans. They're not fair. They're not human. They're aliens. They're out there. They're nothing like you've ever experienced. The Days dealt with them because they dealt with them on their level. You're no good. I'm going to do this. Either take it or leave it. Coleman Young, for those in Detroit that remember him, I would consider Coleman Young a Day, just on that political question. I know I'd be a Day. They'd get the hell out of here if I was in there. Yeah, baby. And I would be super rich. Okay? So they wanted to halt the debate when to get it. They didn't want to talk about it. They don't want to go and let you know what America was like prior to this madness. They don't want to talk about that. They're only dealing with 13 colonies. That's what I'm trying to tell you. I haven't even mentioned America in this article because they had nothing to do with America. They were only dealing with United States. I'm telling you, we got to wake up. We got to get our minds synced. This is what I'm talking to you about now is the most important factor in your life. If you can't get your mind where mine is, you through. And it's simple. It is really simple. It looked like I got a caller. Let me see if I can bring that caller up. Here we go. Caller at 757-9044. Do you have a question or comment on the subject?
Hi, Ronnie. Just Anya. Just listening. You're wonderful. You're great. Everything you saying is absolutely on point.
All right. I appreciate you. Thank you. Right. All right. We got some good listeners out there. They take care of business. I love it. Do we have any questions? Okay. I'm looking at these questions. Wasn't King George a British Moor? Yes, he was. King George of England, Great Britain, was a mulatto Moor. Yes, he was. Coming from another show, wasn't King George a British Moor? Yes. Yes, he was. And that's a lot of information that you really need to know about. Okay? Now, I ain't through with you. We ain't even got started. We ain't even started yet. Okay? Let me plug it in. My computer battery getting weak. There we go. Okay. So now, in fact, there were black citizens in the United States in 1787. But Taney and other justices were attempting to halt further debate on the issue of slavery in the territory because they could only talk about the 13 colonies. That's the only thing they could deal with, 13 colonies. The decision inflamed regional tensions, which burned for another 4 years before exploding into the Civil War. Now, what we're really talking about is the Algonquin Powhatan Confederation. Huge unity of black folks controlled by some very heavyweights. I told you I can't pronounce the biggest chief. I was going to call my main man out in Arizona and get that name again. He may call in today, and we'll check it out. But there was also, when they talk about the Iroquois Confederation, the Algonquin, there was Chief Iroquois. That's how that was. But it was huge. And they were all disturbed by the treatment of Dred Scott. Because they went on to say that there is no, listen to this, there is no question or decision from a black man that any white man had to obey. I thought I had that quote in this piece, but apparently it's in another piece. So I'm going to have to look it up. But they went on after kicking his butt back into slavery. They went on to say there's nothing that a black man can say or do that will give any European, any white man, a reason to obey. This ruling, ladies and gentlemen, has never been overturned. They never went back to the Supreme Court until last week when they went for the unity same sex. I consider that to be the same and a slap in the face to remind us that they still don't give a damn about it. They're more worried about same-sex marriages than they are about the people that own the land. And again, I'm going to make it clear. Half of the black, I don't know what to call them, half of them that are black are wannabes, over half. They wannabes because they saw the writing on the wall. Just like the Jews saw the writing on the wall, put the black people out to get murdered, shot, dogs, fire hoses, all of the rough stuff, back and reap all the benefits. All of the benefits. We don't even have a plebe site. What is a plebe site? It's a political position, most likely land or territory. They won't even let us create, or we have not created, let's put it that way, where we with all like minds can live. We don't have to live among these Negroes that want to be white, and you see what they did. You saw it all on TV. They're going to have parades and all kind of shit with them things. Whatever you want to call them. They out there. They out there. Ain't no, hey. And let's not act like the problem, I know I think I got a couple, I know I got a couple things about it. I got a couple of them in my family. I don't change my views. If they want to go that way, that's their business. Get over there. You got the court behind you. If we, a natural person, black especially, touch, hit, or orally assault a gay, that's what they call themselves, gay person, they're going to come down on us. But yet they do everything to us. Everything. They had a flag up ever since 1866 that said, damn the nigger. Damn the black ass nigger. We did it to Dred Scott, and it's still the law today. And nobody saw fit to even challenge it. Today it has not been challenged. But all of a sudden, these gays leaped into and got support of, recognition from the Supreme Court under the guise of civil rights. Where Martin Luther King said civil rights were freedom into integration of United States. Yes. I still can't figure that out. Who in the hell told him he could do that? And that's why I tell you, you cannot be a 14th Amendment citizen, or you're going to be a fag, sissy, punk, ass, whatever, lesbian, whatever, dyke, whatever. They only recognize, United States only recognize fictitious entities because they are corporations. That's why they come up with these names. These are fictitious names. Just like nigger, that's a fictitious name. I am not a nigger. As nigger. That was another reason why they turned it into a negative, because we had too much power recognizing nigger. I know. There's too much. You bougie ass niggas been hung up in the bullshit so long, you don't even want to even explore or even read the truth. They got areas all over the earth. Malaysia, China, Japan. Why do you think they named it Nagasaki? That was another name for nigger. Nagasaki. Why do you think they bombed it? They bombed their God. We didn't know. I know why we got to go through all of this. Yes, I do. Once you get back, I bet you won't turn on it again. But some of y'all enjoying this. But I'm telling you now, and I'm going to tell you again, it's going to get worse. You have not experienced nothing yet. Our young boys are like young warriors, our young youth, anywhere from 20 to 40, 45. They are nothing but young warriors. They're not going to listen. They ain't scared of nothing. They're not going to listen to no bullshit. And they're going to challenge every right that they have. But the system says no. I'm telling you. Now, we're getting close top of the hour, and I'm going to go to page 2. Because they had such uproar. The decision was exploding into a civil war. We may go back into a civil war behind this shit. If it ain't same-sex marriage, it's Obama with that Obamacare. You're listening to the Republicans going treason talk. Damn the Supreme Court. Since they're stupid and don't know what they're doing. Now, all the rulings in the past have been in favor of Becker. Now they're making liberal decisions, and the Republican candidates are saying, you know what we got to do? Since the 5 justices that ruled in favor are idiots, we got to go to the street. This is treason. Nobody even mentioned. How can a candidate for president make these kind of statements? And let's not forget Lindsey Graham. He said, when I get to be president, I'm running on a war ticket. As soon as I'm elected, I'm sending troops into Middle East and killing every Arab I can find. If he looks like ISIS, don't look at me. He said that. But then all of a sudden his states get this bloodbath from the church. Now he's going to try to change his attitude. How can you change your stripes? You've been a racist pig all your life, Grim. And he has the nerve to say, we got to take the flag down because they're going to boycott our state and the corporations are not going to stand for it. Help me, somebody. Our leadership is poor. The news media will not let any freedom fighter, revolutionary, sovereign nation speak. They're going to let Europeans speak. They had them Peckerwoods on. That old chick did about 300 pounds. Didn't have no teeth. Head looked like a whatever. Had that rebel flag. Said she wants her sovereignty. The flag ain't got nothing to do with freedom. My granddaddy fought for the Confederate. I want to keep it in his favor. That's treason talk. They lost the war against taking the flag down. That's treason. It's not an American flag. It's no part of the American system. But look how long it's been hanging. It's fine. So let's just tease you with this. They predate the amendment. You're going to tell me, or it's going to be said, that the 13th Amendment cleared up Dred Scott, cleared up the black question. You don't have to come back to Washington because the Congress passed the 13th Amendment and confirmed that you were free. And you were taught 2 sections of the 13th Amendment, which both were a barefaced lie. Neither one of those sections is in the original write-up of the 13th Amendment. So while we go to break, when I call the engineer out, we're going to go on break. Try to look up the 13th Amendment, 20 section of the 13th Amendment. When we come back, we're going to deal with that. People, we're back. We're back again. Ron March Show. We're talking about same-sex marriage. We really haven't tapped into it yet because I'm preparing you on the rules and regulations, how it interferes directly with Martin Luther King's can I call it a promise, or his so-called Civil Rights Act that they were going to free us, and they've turned around now and are start freeing them. So what we do is we're going to talk about the 13th Amendment, that the Dred Scott case, when blacks went before the Supreme Court, they told blacks, you're not a citizen, you'll never be a citizen, and there's no need for you to even come back and talk about being a citizen, because you were not in the interest of the original Constitution. Now, and they added that there's no rule, regulation, or statement a black man can make that any white man should obey. Really something. So they said that decision was so inflammable. The decision inflamed regional tensions all across America, which burned for another 4 years before exploding into the Civil War. Well, when they mention Civil War, I always bring up the fact that the first Civil War was black on black, which was the separation, division of the Powhatan Confederation. The Algonquins pulled away from the Powhatan, which created the Iroquois Confederation, who went to war against the Powhatan Confederation over race, sex, and the Dred Scott case. When the Europeans saw that the two nations were fighting among themselves, they saw fit or saw an opportunity to take over all of the standings of the nations. So they, after they finished the battle, they attacked the South. United States of America, United States of the 13 colonies attacked the Iroquois, the defeated Iroquois nation. And that's how they called it a victory. It was not a victory, but they called it a victory. Now, what did that do? That set up what we know today as the United States of America. All on paper. All on paper. Everything they taught you was a damn lie. All on paper. Then they created, first they backlogged the 13th Amendment to try and fix history, that the Dred Scott case, don't bring it back to the Supreme Court. Let's pass an amendment so that we would make those Americans think that we have solved the Dred Scott case. So they came up with the 13th Amendment. Now, every one of you out there know of the 13th Amendment. You've been taught that your rights, your civil rights, not natural rights, not human rights, your civil rights are in the 13th Amendment. Bullshit. It was not. It was not. It was not. They told you there were two sections to the 13th Amendment. Number one, there will be no slavery in the United States. Ha! There was never slavery in America, now keep in mind. Number two, there would be no involuntary servitude. 90% of you out there have no idea what involuntary servitude means. What's the difference between voluntary servitude or slavery and involuntary servitude or slavery? It's only a state of mind. It's the same thing. But involuntary servitude is a traffic ticket. It's a welfare payment. It's a child support payment. It's a illegal bill, illegal presentment that they put you in debt. That's involuntary servitude because they create a peonage. Look it up. It's a simple process. Every urban America is in involuntary servitude. Every urban America in the United States. And you telling me these dumbass, jackleg-ass preachers and these boulets and these AKAs don't know that? I'm going to have to admit they don't know it. I went on a seminar this weekend. I have never been among so many educated black people. They were not aware. They were very attentive to my presentation because they had never heard it. They were very interested in my presentation. They had never heard of it. Some of these people had 2 PhDs, a master, a bachelor's. Oh, they were loaded with education. Very good 14th Amendment citizens, but they know it don't work. Especially in 2015, so much has gone on this year, and it's just beginning. We're only at the halfway point. We're at the 6-month point. And we've seen more to turn people around to question the United States of America. So the Europeans saw fit to create this thing called 13th Amendment. Then they said, we're only going to teach them what we want them to know. They don't know that we're getting them in kindergarten, so we're going to start them out. We're going to forget Grandpa. Grandpa didn't care nothing about them. We're going to forget Grandma, Big Mama. We don't care about them. Leave them alone. Work on the children. Work on the children. We'll teach them the 13th Amendment freedom. Don't worry about Dred Scott. But we cannot lie, so we're going to tell them about Dred Scott. But then we're going to come back and say, don't worry about it. We fixed it with the 13th Amendment. Well, let's listen to me. The Constitution of the United States had nothing to do with the rank and file Americans, but it was a contract that we gave them, and the contract cannot be amended. It cannot be tampered with. You can't change a contract. Try to call them up and tell them you want to move your payment on your mortgage from the 1st of the month to the 15th and see what they tell you. Or you want to change your car note. Any credits you got, try to change that contract and see what happens. You can't do it. But yet they're going to add amendments. Now, if they add amendments, it has to be approved by the opposing party. Well, Lincoln had destroyed through the ending of the Civil War. Most of the southern states were out of the Union. Lincoln appointed his own generals and colonels to vote in favor of all this bullshit in the name of America. And we knew nothing about it. So, they fixed the 13th Amendment and made us go to school. White folks don't talk about public schools. Only black people talk about public schools. You ain't never heard a whitey complain or even bring up the fact he's going to public schools. It's a disgrace. Most of the time when they mention it, it's a derogatory statement. Take your kids, just like down there in McKinney, Texas. That lady told him, take your black ass back to the projects, back to public school system. They know you don't know a damn thing. You were trained in the public school system. So they gave you 2. Number 1, there'll be no more slavery. There'll be no more involuntary servitude. White man's good. Bullshit. Number 1, I'll tell you right now. I got it in front of me. There are 20 sections. 20 sections to the 13th Amendment. Every amendment has more than what they give you, or they only give you what they want you to know, or they'll change what they have as they did in the 13th Amendment and make you think it's there. And if you don't look it up, because they definitely don't want you to read, so you don't know. I got 20 sections right here in front of me. It's called the 13th Amendment of the Constitution of the United States. Ratified November 18th, 1865 by 3/4 of the several states. They don't say how many. They don't say America. They don't say United States. They just say several states. And I'm telling you, it's a lie. It was all set up by the so-called Republican Party. I'm not going to read them all, but I'm going to move quickly to the 12th, Section 12. If you looked it up as I asked you to during the break, if you looked it up, I'm going to read number 12. Number 12 says, the traffic in slaves with Africa is hereby forever prohibited on the on the pain of death and the forfeiture of all the rights and property of persons engaged therein. And the descendants of Africans shall not be citizens. So they enforced Dred Scott case. Lying punks, they enforced it. Look like we got a caller here. Let's check this caller out. 773, first 3874. Are you there?
Yeah, peace and love, peace and love. This is Sael.
Yes, sir, Sael.
Hey, how you doing? Yeah. I've been doing some research on it too, and they also have on like they said, the original 13th Amendment, the actual 13th article, when it tells you about if any citizen of the United States shall accept, claim, receive, and I'm just brushing through it. Basically, that would have just cut right through the cake of what they're doing, but they took that out and implemented their own amendment to it. So all they did when they did the transaction, when they said they freed the slaves at the same time, like you said, yippee, but at the same time they had voluntary slavery and involuntary slavery under what you call crime. So that's when they created the jail institutions. So it was already premeditated. That was the emancipation. To transfer the slave is synonymous with title. Just like they say slave holder, so that's a title holder. You got to look in between the lines. You see what I'm saying? So all this is dealing with titles, transferring titles, and that's why it's so important to have a slave, because the slave was the title. You see, so it was like the top property, even though they try to make it seem it was less, but that was the top commodity. You understand?
Okay, that makes sense. So the so-called slave was really the title of the land. Is that what you're saying? Is that what you're saying?
Repeat that again.
Are you saying that the slave was really the title of the land?
The slave is the title. Remember how we doing our birth certificate right now. Your birth certificate is your slave. It's the same thing. It's just the body or the physical body is not behind it. You separated your body from that attachment.
Yes.
But in those days, it was the same way, but they didn't know to deal with the process based, due to ignorance. So due to ignorance, not knowing how to deal with titles, they use reverse psychology within the parameters of what they was doing. You see what I'm saying? You have to read in between the lines. It's kind of like private and public. They don't say private and public, but you got to read in between the lines.
Yep. I can get it. Okay. All right, buddy. That's a very good point. All right, thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right. Yeah, we got some astute listeners out there that they are doing some research. But this number 12 of the 20 sections of the 13th Amendment, it knocks it out of the box, and then that brother that called made it clear that the Constitution, and I believe it's the 4th amendment in the Constitution, which was in the original, quote-unquote, so-called original, there you go, Constitution. It talked about full faith and credit in Section 1, but Section 2 and Section 3 talked about runaway slaves. And the way it's worded means that freedom is still not given to the slave or the freedman, because if they put a crime on him, they can go and get him and bring him back. And you know how the courts act I can't even imagine living in Charleston, South Carolina, where when you go to court, you got to go under the flag of racism, and you're going to try and get a break in there, or you're trying to get free, or you're trying to get a fair shake. How can you do that? I bet you they was copping more pleas down there in that city than you can shake in the state than you can shake a stick at. Because you can't win. They telling you we're racist and you're not equal to us. And this has been in place. Think about it. It's been in place since 1866. Tomorrow with Beverly D, we're going to talk about that flag, that Confederate flag, and the American flag. It's going to be very interesting for you to hear what it's all about. Tomorrow at 6 o'clock, right back on this same network. But this 13th Amendment, it really sets up the demise of the black American. They're making it clear you are not a citizen, and then they reinforced it. But now, today or this week, the same-sex marriages, which engulfs the gays, let's just call them that has more rights than we do because the Supreme Court ruled in their favor. They didn't say you got to marry same race. They said you can marry the same sex. So think about that for a minute. And that's not the only thing that's involved in that so-called Civil Rights Act. Handicap, AIDS, heart conditions, everything under the sun, but natural freedom. We are the only humans in the 14th Amendment, and they call us persons, which makes us fictitious and not human. That's why they get away with shooting and killing us. Gays, who was also in the Civil Rights package, they were raised to another level of autonomy because the Supreme Court ruled that they have a right, not a privilege, a right to marry each other. Just like they say about an animal, a dog, as Michael Vick. The dog has a better standing than the so-called American, United States of American black man. Hell with that. The Moor that lives in his own land. We are fugitives in our own land. And it seems like I see why nobody talks with any type of knowledge, because they're all gays and lesbians up there. We sit back and listen to them, wanting to have them say things that are at least defensive to our freedom. And they're talking about being free of sex and being free as gay people. It's madness. It's a direct slap in the face. Gays have nothing to do with my argument. Like, again, I'll say that. And I hope they just stay away from me or just act around me like they should act, like everybody else acts. I don't go out kissing and hugging and rubbing a woman in public. And I don't do that. I don't see any straight people doing that. You may see it in the airport saying goodbye, that type of thing. But sitting up in these different restaurants and whatever, just licking and hugging and kissing. Oh, help me, somebody. Woo! We got a hell of a problem. Or better yet, we got a hell of a situation. And I think we should be made aware. See, I have found that to be aware of the situation, it helps educate you, and it definitely gives you a consciousness that they can't deal with. I think it's a slap in the face They went there one time and were recognized. We've been there twice and still are not recognized. They even passed the Civil Rights Bill again in 1866, and they still don't recognize it. And they convinced all of our ministers, and I'm not, see, when I say ministers, I'm talking about teachers. I'm not talking about these jackleg ass punks. None of them. One of these educated individuals asked me this past weekend about what you think about T.J. Maxx. I said, I don't think about it. What the hell you mean what I think about it? He's done nothing for me or my people. And he's done nothing for you. She said, he just can preach. I said, yeah. Our vibrations are taught by CIA to the selected ones. All these big mega churches, if you listen to them, all the preachers have the same tone and same style of preaching. They have all been trained. They have all been trained in these particular synagogues, whatever, I don't know what they do, seminaries, wherever they go. They're trained. And they can arouse your spirit. Yes, they are positive with that. And make you think of nothing but whatever they tell you to think about it. You know which way they're going, screaming for Jesus. Oh, help me somebody. Help me somebody. At the board, I'm trying to see if we have anybody have any questions on this same-sex marriage. Please call in. Let's discuss this thing. If you got a question. It's no big deal. You know what I mean? We go all the way back to 1800s trying to be free. We gave up our sovereignty. We gave it up. Granny, Big Mama was free. Yes, she was. Grandpa was free. In other words, they knew what side their bread was buttered on. If we could get our educated, it's too late. I'm going to quit even thinking that can happen. To get our educated ones into a plan of freedom. I don't see how it's going to happen. I don't see how it can ever happen. Because they are locked into their debt. And you can be controlled when you're in debt. Debt is slavery. That's your form of slavery. So when I say we've never been in slavery, I'll take it back if you bring up finance. Because we are in debt. That's the name of the game. That's how they control us, through debt. That's why we got some like minds that are teaching about the birth certificate. You're not going to get out from under this madness until you understand the concept of the birth certificate. That's what put you in the United States. That's the toehold they have on you. That's the forbidden chain, the secret chain, the invisible chain that they have on you. And if you don't know that, you need to know it. And once you know it, you need to study how you can release the grip of debt. Now, it's difficult. I talked to a gentleman today, taking up my time talking all that crazy madness. I told him, don't rush me because you want to be free overnight. You've been a slave for 40 or 50 years. Now that you see that there's a possibility that you can get free, you want to do it overnight. It don't work like that. Because once you get all of the paperwork, not that what I have let's go to the master himself, Jonah Bey. If you had all of the paperwork in place that Jonah Bey has in place, you would still be a slave. Because you don't know what to do with it. That's a whole different level of knowledge. You have no idea what to do with it. Where do I go from here? That's the question. You have to learn how to use, if you go slow, as you reach your plateau on each one of these steps. Number one, get your birth certificate in line. Once that's done, you are literally free, but you are private. That's where the differentiation comes in. You are private. Now you want to make sure that everyone you deal with knows you private, so you want to put together an affidavit of ownership that now you own your birth certificate, which means you own your straw man. Never even thought about the fact that there are two birth certificates, one on the state level, which is a long form, and then there's another little bitty one on the county level. The state level belongs to the natural person, and the county level belongs to the straw man. All you're doing is separating yourself from the county as you authenticate the state. How is that possible? If you read Title 28, subsection 1733, I just saw it earlier today. If you read, I'm going to try to get into it now. Give me 1 second here. I'm going to try to get into it. And what they're really talking about is we're going to do we're back on, and I'm trying to, I'm looking for Title 28, Section 28, Section 1733. I don't know if that'll work. Trying to do it quick. There it is. Okay, now listen. I tried to explain this last week. Government is called Title 28 USC. 28 USC 1733. You need to look that up. Everybody needs to get that. Now, what does it say? It says books or records of account or minutes of proceedings of any department or agency of the United States shall be admissible to prove the act, transaction, or occurrence as a memorandum of which the same were made or kept. Properly authenticated copies or transcripts of any books, records, papers, or documents of any department or agency of United States shall be admitted in evidence equally with the original thereof. This section does not apply to cases, actions, and proceedings to which the federal rules of evidence applies. So you got to look up the FRE, which is the Federal Rules of Evidence, to see what you have in the authentication. Now, let's talk about that real quick. You've already heard of what they call secured interest, especially when you're dealing with a mortgage. All the courts are aware, and their agents are aware of a little clause known as secured interest. If you ask any one of them, what the hell is the secured interest? Their answer is going to be somewhere in the area of, I'm not here to educate you in law. You need to get an attorney to find out what that means. Well, that's just a bullshit answer. Because most of them don't know. But they know that is a protective clause when they get in a bind, especially when you say to the courts, I do not have a contract with this punk. That's all you got to say. I have no idea who he is, why he's writing me all the letters. I sent him requests and requirements to send me a copy of either or of the contract that I signed with him or the DOA, they call it DOA, the document of authorization that the corporation gave him to come after me. Did y'all get that? DOA, authorization of authority. And I'm talking about them sorry-ass lawyers. All of them are crooks. But they know the tricks. They know how to deal with the tricks, and they know court procedures. And they will beat you every time with procedures, because you have no idea. So you're asking the judge, what, Your Honor? You said, well, buddy, you ain't got to call him Your Honor. What is this secured interest? I'm telling you, I don't have a contract with these people. Now, he has to ask you a couple of questions. Number one, do you have the item in question, such as the automobile? Your answer would have to be yes. Number two, have you made any payments on the automobile? Your answer would be yes. Well, he said that transaction that you just admitted to in open court, you created a secured interest. Now, you're standing there looking stupid because you still don't know what a secured interest is. I'm going to tell you what a secured interest is. Anytime you sign your name in ink on anything, hear me clear, they will take it. Once they take it away, it becomes a secured instrument or secured interest. They'll bring you back 1,000 copies. It doesn't matter. That original ink signature copy is the quote-unquote secured interest. Because they can prove that your intent was originally to pay. Two avenues. Number one, you can take the carbon copy of what they sent you as a contract. Especially, for example, we'll go into your mortgage. So let's take the promissory note, or we can take the mortgage itself. If you authenticate the mortgage and or the promissory note, according to Title 28, Section 1733, it becomes equivalent to the original copy. Have completely eliminated his so-called secured interest. There is no more secured interest. No one has a right to come after you because you paid for it with your signature. And whatever they come in with that's in the mortgage that you agreed to, if you authenticate the mortgage, you eliminate that because no one signed the mortgage but you. And let me see, what did they say? You can look up the it's not a senior moment. It just blew by me, and I didn't really. I didn't really get a chance to think about it. But I'm telling you about the secured interest. I just read this weekend on what you can do to equalize yourself against them. But they are full of tricks, and they also are full of legalese, which is a language completely different than you've ever heard of. And one of the best catch-alls in legalese language is, do you understand? Mr. March, do you understand? No, I do not understand. In legalese, that means when you're asked, do you understand? Legalese, that means, am I overstanding you? So if you're overstanding me, that means that I am answering to you because you're making yourself the prima donna of this conversation. So, no, I don't understand. I can't even figure out why I'm here. I told you this individual, I have no idea who he is. And if you keep that tone and that position, they can never settle the case. You have to agree. Now, they're going to try and trick you, but you're going to have to agree on an issue that puts you into a straw man position, which means all straw men, which is your certification, are debtors. It was created to only pay, not to receive, to give. It's not their fault that you don't know that you're not the straw man, although the sound of the name is the same as yours. I'm wondering if y'all are getting this. Do y'all understand this? Or better yet, do you overstand this? It's very important. Marriage, we can flip back. It's the same position. Do you agree or disagree? Neither nor. I do not understand at all why it was passed. I don't care about their sexual preferences. I just told you 90% of them are wannabes anyway. And then there's another degree section that are only wanting to be unified because of living conditions, such as insurance purposes, for example. Insurance purposes, Social Security, all types of things where if you're going to take care of them, they die, then you get the Social Security, all that kind of stuff. They could have easily said, okay, we want all marriage license to say you are married / union to Joe Blow or Josephine Baker. You didn't have to make marriage, the unity of male and female, the same as marriage, same sex. It's not the same. But you did it for a reason. And that reason is a total reflection against Black America. We've been trying to get recognized by the United States ever since 1857, Dred Scott case. I heard a professor say he didn't even want to talk about 14th Amendment. He didn't even want to talk, a professor at Wayne State, right here in Detroit. He was on one of the Uncle Remus nigger shows that let him get away with it. They didn't know what to ask, so he just showed his colors. He said 13th Amendment took care of all of that. He was never challenged. Heard of a professor of Harvard last week say that the 13th, 14th, 15th Amendment was the blessing from the Civil War. Minorities always win after the battle. He was trying to say that the killing of those 9 individuals in that church, something good is going to come out of that, up to and including lowering the flag. What the hell does that have to do with it when the flag's been there ever since 1860, over 100 years? And then they're going to drag out an old 2-ton Tessie, white hillbilly, and she made it very clear. Her flag is in honor of her grandpappy, who fought to maintain slavery. So she said she have no idea what went on. I guarantee you she was a high school dropout. So we caught up. All I'm saying to you is we're caught up in a mag choir. I think that's what they call it. Of nothing but bullshit. Same-sex marriage is a total reflection. We need to get out of this madness. And the only way you're going to get out of it is to disassociate yourself from the United States. And you start by authenticating your birth certificate. Since I don't have any questions, nor do I have any chat room